So he's explaining why that the knowledge of Havaya Elokim is only shaykh, only begins by Tzias Mitzrayim. It's not shaykh in Golus, and the simple reason is because the Keiches Pnim, the Seichel, and therefore the heart are not active, are not manifest. So in such a state, having even with lofty neshamas and emunah being expressed in a very powerful way, they were deemed in the merit of the emunah, but there's not shaykh to have any primis dikavodah, not shaykh to tikkun midas, to really fixing the midas in the way that it should be. Like the Alter Rebbe said, l'shanos teva midosav. It's one of the chidushim of Chassidus, namely that till Chassidus, so what's good is good. Person has good midas, that's fine. Now you got to work on the Yetzer Hara. We have to work on the bad midas. But the chidush of Chassidus is that even the good midas have to be worked on from being good to being godly. And that's only possible through the idea, first of all, the awareness, the conscious awareness and understanding, the pnimius of Havaya Elokim. What's wrong with good? Good's good, good is very nice. So therefore, it can't happen in Mitzrayim. The whole avoid of working on the kelim, which is tikkun midas, that's what we're talking about. The yichud of Havaya and Elokim, where there's a chiddush in both Havaya and Elokim. There's a chiddush through avoid that happens in the oir and the chiddush that happens in the keli, but the mandates the keli. The oir gets the message, kind of work on it, but it's not resistant. In the way that the keli is, it doesn't even know that there's a message. So the Ikar Avodah begins in Malchus, therefore. And not Malchus, as he says, as it's part of Atzilus, that it's Mekabel, but Malchus is a Mokar Biyad. Because as a result of that, he explained there's three Efanim in Yisavos, there's three ways in creation. Right? There's Yisavos B'derech Mamela, and in that itself there's two Dargis. The Yisavos creation from Seviv Kalalmin, and then there's the Yisavos from Zohar, which is also Derech Mamela, but of a different order, a lower level. And then there's the Yisavos of Malchus, which is Bislapshus and concealed. And he explains that the Yisavos that comes from Seviv Kalalmin is completely not invested and becomes B'derech Mamela. So the example we gave is just someone that Dug Mechaya is not even engaging with his environment at all. But his mere presence inspires and affects change. B'derech Mamela. They don't know him and he doesn't know them. They don't know him in an intimate way. So that's a dugma of Yisavos b'derech Seviv. A dugma of Yisavos b'derech Zohar, he said the Seichel Midas. When the Seichel is manifest, it will naturally produce the Midas. It's not b'derech Islapshus. But the Seichel is Bizgalus. Seviv is also, when it creates Bizgalus, the person's presence is there, not in an intimate way, but he's revealed. That's why he's inspiring. In both cases, Begoloi, and in both cases, it's b'derech Mamela in the two ways we just described now, the two different levels. Whereas Malchus is Bislapshus, invested, tailored, it's Mamala Kalalmin, to creation, the result of which is, because it's invested, Malchus itself is lost on creation. What's lost on creation? If it's invested, then it's felt. No, what is felt is life. But what is this life? It's a lekus, that's not felt. So there is the strong hergish of chayis. The person feels he's alive. And he's in the added, especially if he's misburning and Havaya Likenu. So he could even know that what is his chayis, is a likus, but what he's feeling is the chayas. It doesn't feel that it's a likus. Pre-avoida. And that is because Malchus is bislapshus, invested, and hence concealed within the creation. Right? So the three dogmois we just gave, I think, illustrated well. Okay, let's continue. V'hinei Helen v'hester shb'malchus ein rak b'savos bia mipchinas malchus. This property of malchus, that it's invested in the pnimius and therefore concealed, as it creates and brings into being, it's not only true of malchus, as it were, invested in creation, which we're looking at. It's true. Everything is relative. So it's true, therefore, this property of investure is true in all the dargas of Malchus. The B'chinas Malchus, the Insof Shlifnei HaTzimtzum. There's darga that the spheres, Lifnei HaTzimtzum, they're all blikvol, relatively speaking, and poshet, and divest of hard form, obviously, the Insof. So that, in other words, the potentia states, rather than manifested states. But Malchus Dein Sof, Lifnei HaTzimtzum, notwithstanding the fact that Lifnei HaTzimtzum, it has this property as well. That's the point. That the revelation that is drawn then after into Eilam Malchus Dein Sof, it has to be through this Helam, through concealment. What is drawn of Malchus Dein Sof, not something else. This narrow line, as it were, a gradation, a measured higher and lower, the whole template of Gvul. This is the very nature of Malchus. Simple level, the very nature of Malchus is not a revealed intimate relationship that the king has with the subjects. Totally invested in them. The entire state is governed by the king and his wishes. So it's bislapshus, absolute slapshus. Anything outside of it is not tolerable, not possible. It's to be utterly rejected. However, it's behelim. The king's presence is behelim. No one knows the king. No one feels the king. They feel the result of the king's commands. They feel the chayas of the king, but they don't feel the king. This is still not the true helim. So what's wrong with that? Whereas Leonard Cohen says, you want it darker. Right? His second last song or his final song. He wasn't afraid to express what he had learned. He said this already then. It's a kavkotzer, it's a limited light, but it's still light, revelation. It's not the kavanah yet. It's called helim. Everything's relative. Concealment relative to what? To the yes, but still revelation. So he illustrates not illustrates. He brings this a famous statement from Zohar, which we've encountered several times in our learning. This idea of what is concealed relative to a higher level is revelation relative to a low level, and that's true of the highest levels. It's a statement in Zohar, the supernal kesed. Even though it's a primal light, an early primal, it's clear, and sparkling. Nonetheless, it's dark, it's black, relative to the cause of all causes. Before the cause of all causes, it's dark. On the one hand, it's described as a primary luminous and sparkling light. So therefore, al derech zeh similarly, gam b'hamshachas nimshachim mibiyam b'chinas hamalchos, all of the revelations, the Taka revelations. Gam lachrei hahelim, the malchus, but that's the problem. It's still not the tachlis. Harei gam lachrei hahelim, the malchus eshtem gilui. So even after concealed in malchus, it's still gilui. In other words, a word. The parallel is a word in the human nefesh for speech. On the one hand, it's hella. The word is, it's a symbol. What does it mean? You have to know the language to extract the meaning. But it communicates. And you can even understand something from not knowing the language, just the way the person's speaking. You know if it's something, he's angry or a certain emotion will come through. So there's gilu even in the concealment of the word. That's malchus datzilus. So yeshtem gilu. The concealment component is relative to the oir, which is on a higher level before it's invested in malchus, zor, etc. It's still revelation, still communication. You're saying something. I don't know what you're saying. You're saying something. And I'm getting a sense of it. So that's not the tachlis. The tachlis is dirab tachtoinim. So therefore, then there's not just malchus as malchus is the creator of biyah, but rather as expressed in the pasuk, shezer sharagleha yerdis moves, her feet descend to death. That's already Bisman al-Gol, that's already Avedis and Klippa and concealment, not just a nice world, but a corrupt world. Shoinyin shal helem hester lagambri, and herein lies the kavana, the tikkun, and of the yichud havaya lekim is dafke here in Zman al-Golos. You want it darker. No, let's see if I didn't learn further, so we'll learn together. To explain these two levels of concealment further, Yuvan will be understood. Should be in a slabshus gufa yesh b'chlol is basically finding the same way that we just learned that in creation, but that there are two levels. Also in slabshus there are two levels of investure. And they are, from the Aleph, the first way is Shamalubish Moishe V'shoilet al Hamalbish. The Keli, in other words, in which there is investure, dominates that which is invested in it. What's a moshel for that? Can maybe slabshus aseichel b'midas. So the intellect is invested in the midah. The midah can't exist without the seichel. There's not the understanding why this is lovable or fearful. The midah dies. So the midah has to be, the seichel is bislabshus. On the one hand, even though the seichel is invested in the midas, we call mokim what dominates in order for the midah to continue. The mind must rule the heart. The midas themselves, without the mind, are an agitated, excited state without limit. So in order to have an appropriate midah, he's saying, you have to have the moyach invested but dominate, be in control. If the moyach is not going to be in control, then the midas will go haywire. The chura, without the seichel, the midah would die. Not necessarily. Why not? Because there's like the memory, yeah, I know this is good. I don't have to revisit that. Finish, I want it. So if the seichel is not actively invested in the nature of the goodness, then the desire, the love, or the fear can become irrational. Even though it started with some measure of awareness. So the point is, that in order the midah should be as it should be, it needs the dominance of seichel throughout. Mislapshus, he's in an emotional state now, but what governs his emotion is still the seichel. Another moshel v'chein gam lamata yosef, even lower. Interesting moshel mislapshus amachshava b'keich ha'maisa. Thought invested in the faculty of action. K'moi, for example, b'keich ha'ksiva v'keich ha'tzir. Writing and artistry, art. So clearly, too, this is mamash an act of maisa, but here, in a way, it's even more. You can see the seichel guiding this. You see his concentration. The way he's thinking, that's how the maisa goes. Of course, he's distracted, then wrong line, wrong word. So this is a way of islapshus where the higher oifen. The mashpia is invested, but still dominates the proceedings. Oifen abe is in a second way bislapshus. Shamal bish moishel v'shoylet ala melubash. That the garment, as it were, controls that which is invested in it. For example, Gilgulim, reincarnation. Shehu Rahman Litzlan, where in the Neshama is reincarnated in the Behemoth, the Moshe. So that is Shvitzar Godla Neshama. The Neshama is invested in the Behemoth, but the Behemoth has complete control. And it's the ultimate imprisonment. That's a terrible tsar. Right? And this can happen for the tikkun of the Neshama. Has to be in the Behemoth. So that's a two-way fanim, right? Clear? Now, the Mailo, this is a marshal for Malchus of Atzilus as the creator of the world. And then Malchus, as it descends, Raglea Yerdis Moves in Golus, Shchinta Begolusa, Chatoim, etc. Now, there is a Yuvam Shnei Fani HaLomas. So this is a marshal for the two levels of concealment that happens to Malchus, the Shechina, or the Neshama. The Neshama is also a part of, in general, is Malchus. The the first one, even though the divine force is concealed in the created being, there's some measure of revelation. So this is a world, it creates the world. It's a world that naturally feels there's a creator, and there's a natural tendency to morality, to coexistence, to peace, to harmony. Not that each creation feels totally independent and selfish. There's a sense of a unifying force, not lost on creation. There's begiliktas, and of course not, but harmony. What's the expression? In business, when there's goodwill, it's natural. It's felt by creation. The world's a beautiful place, and let's not sully it. Life is precious and beautiful. But then, but still, it's the course is concealed. But in the second way, the Helam is so great. That Malchus is invested and concealed in the world of death. So here the Nivra completely dominates. This is the Shechin in Golus. The result of that is a fragmented world, a world at odds with itself, self-destructive. Sharigam bismana golos, because even in golos, in Arotz and Shalamaylo, who takif v'chazok, she achtoiv l'Yisrael ha'meridike words. Even as managolos, Hashem's will is powerful and strong, as the pasuk says, should be only good for Yidden. He hasn't changed what he wants. It should be good for Yidden. Baruchnis, not just Baruchnis, but Begashmis. So what's going on? Because the Chayes Eliki is invested in Golos, and they get the Chayes through the 70 princes, literally the Malachim that are the source of the 17 nations. Bracket Shemachol Medina Yeshta Sara Moishel. Every Medina, every state, every society has its Sar, its heavenly prince Moishel. Yocholi is gone by for Nachachas v'Shalom. So notwithstanding the Eibishter's will, it gets lost. We don't see it. It's not good for Yidden. Not Begashmi. It's not Baruchnis. Shingin Shchinte Begalusa. The Shchin is in Golus. Yav Derezeh Bislabshus Never Shalikis Beguf and Neveshabam. And likewise the personal level of the Neshama in the Guf and Neveshabam. Yeshtem Zekam Beifan. There's many levels. The highest level is a person who's in this world. Neshama came into a guf. However, who defines the day? Who holds sway? Who is this person? What's his life? It's his nefesh halikis, and the body goes along. Then there is a lower level. That's the tzaddik, in other words. Lower than that is Commissioner Kosev. It's a constant battle. It's not a given. Nefesh halikis has whole sway, and that's the Bein and Lupamim. And sometimes the Rabbi just says, etc. It doesn't spell it out. It means it's not just a battle, we lose the battle. But that's sometimes Lupamim. But worse than that, Lamata Yosef, it's not just sometimes. It's Kasher Haguf and Nefesh Habam Sholtim Chas v'Sholem and Nefesh halikis. That's the reality is that what controls, period, not on occasion, but overall, it's the Guf, the Guf and Nefesh Habam is completely dominating the Nefesh halikis. And as we're going to learn, no, this is the Ikar Avodah and Tikkun HaKelim is this matzav, which is why we're in it. All right, to be continued. Be'ezer Hashem. Yes, I'm here on Monday. Yeah, on Monday.